Welcome, dear friends, to our weekly community of practice check-in session. My name is Katya, and I'm a member of the Communities of Practice team. I hope everyone had a great week, and I welcome you all to this half hour of Dharma, reflection, and community connection. It is customary for us in Australia to begin any meeting by acknowledging the traditional owners of our land. I would like to start today by acknowledging the Dharawal people as the traditional owners of the land on which Nan Tien Institute resides. I also acknowledge the traditional custodians of the various lands on which you all are. And I pay my respects to the elders, past, present, and emerging. The check-in sessions have been developed by our Communities of Practice team and the entire community. In 2018 and 2019, we ran a number of community days and then began these weekly check-in sessions in October 2020. The purpose of these sessions was, as outlined above, guided by humanistic Buddhism to develop and cultivate our practice and our friendships. Now more than ever, the practice has become vital, and the purpose of today is exactly that. And now I'd like to introduce you to Joe Year, the valuable member of our community who will facilitate our practice today.
Thanks, Katya. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. Let's start the session with our routine mindful mini pause, and it allows us to get our minds and hearts ready for the session and the subsequent discussion. Firstly, sit comfortably and relax the shoulders. Soften your gaze. Drop your chin a little and let your gaze fall gently downward. You can choose to close your eyes or simply let what appears before your eyes be there without focusing on it. Feel your breath. Bring your attention to the physical sensation of breathing, the air moving through your nose or mouth, the rising and falling of your belly or your chest. Be kind to your wandering mind. You may find your mind wanders constantly. That's all right. Instead of wrestling with your thoughts, practice observing them without reacting. Come back to your breath over and over again without judgment or expectation. This bell will be a reminder for you in the next minute. Whenever you are ready, gently leave your gaze. Last week, we explored how the roads have hidden symbols of the Buddha Dharma and how they can assist us to develop deeper mindfulness of our thoughts, words, and actions in our daily life. For this week, let's briefly explore about the social media, or in general media, riding on the excellent presentation that Jake has done previously. Media is the communication outlets or tools used to store and deliver, facilitate users' interaction of information or data. From Facebook to Instagram to the newspaper, radio, podcasts, etc. We face all of them every day. We constantly interact with the content, and the interaction use thoughts, emotions, words, and actions. And it is these responses that evolve into effects, which could be positive, negative, or at times neutral. Effects then become causes, and the cycle continues till the conditions that sustain the cycle cease. To me, I see every interaction with the content in the media, including social media. It's like creating ripples in water. Some ends pretty quickly, while others have far-reaching effects. It depends on the weight of the stone or object that falls into the water, analogous to the relative significance of the content or the issue. It depends on the energy we use to throw the object into the water, analogous to our responses, emotions, thoughts, words, actions. It depends on how big the lake or water feature we throw the object into, analogous to the size of the interacting space of the content or issue. In this analogy, we can see clearly that the decider on whether the ripple is created, what type of ripple is created, the energy of the ripple, the space which the ripple flows, is us. To recognize that we are the master of our own responses can be easy and yet can be tough. And to take a step back, we are not just the master of our responses, but we are also the master of the content we choose to interact. To this, I briefly shared previously that I embarked on a process of cleansing my content on my Facebook a year ago. I can't leave social media as I know my kids will eventually want to interact in the space. So I need to start establishing some kind of principles, share with them in the future should they wish to give it a go. So leveraging the tools which Facebook offers, these were some of the actions I've taken. We'd like to share for some thoughts and discussion later. Firstly, I pondered and reflected on what's the purpose of engaging in this space. Having a clear purpose can help to drive the needed transformations. For some, they might decide not to be in this space altogether, and that's fine. For me, I decide that this space is where I will fill it with wholesome messages of love, compassion, humanity, and hope, because these are important mental signposts to me. The first action was to transform my sources for general news. I chose two news agencies to follow, pick them on the basis they do not excessively sensationalize any particular topics, and had a good track record of objective reporting. I unfollowed feeds from friends or pages who have previously provided content that I responded negatively or unwholesomely to. I said sorry to them in my heart and hope that one day I can interact with their content again, but in a wholesome manner. I follow feeds which can provide me with wholesome mental signposts in my daily life. As mentioned, messages of love, compassion, humanity, and hope, and across different faiths. I vow to only put up content that's meaningful, purposeful, and hopefully with as little egoistically driven thoughts and emotions as possible. And finally, I constantly engage in an honest and healthy evaluation of the effectiveness of the interventions in giving me and others greater peace and harmony. So how do I evaluate myself in this journey? I find this quote from the Kalama Sutta meaningful. If we have about half a minute to read it through together, in the next slide. Now Kalamas, one who is a disciple of the noble ones, thus devoid of greed, devoid of ill will, undeluded, alert, and resolute, keeps pervading the first direction, as well as the second direction, the third, and the fourth, with an awareness imbued with goodwill. Thus, he keeps pervading above, below, and all around, everywhere and in every respect of all-encompassing cosmos, with an awareness imbued with goodwill, abundant, expansive, immeasurable, free from hostility, free from ill will. So this brings us to today's discussion. How can we transform the content and our interactions with the content and information from media and social media in our daily lives? So over to everyone to share your thoughts and views with regards to the journey of transformation of the kind of information we receive, the kind of information we interact. So while we are receiving the information, I thought to share a bit the group thinking. In my group, we talk about the importance of being the master of the content that we interact with. We develop little routines to help us. I think Jane shared two out of the 3 days or three out the week not to touch the screen time, get out of it and do something else, like meditation and all these things. So simple things, routines like that help us. I think what's her name? I can't remember. Phyllis, yes. Phyllis talked about very clear purpose. This is where I get information from the news. That's all. I'm not going to comment and get out once I've done with the news. That's really high level of discipline that I'm also trying to learn. Dean shared also similar things like creating that safe space, retracting for a time being, so that you yourself you can gain some resting time and relaxation from it, recharge yourself before re-entering the space. Using technology media wisely with respect of each other, everyone's time, privacy, yes. Turning off notifications can improve attention on task and capacity for deep work. Absolutely agree. My chief exec does that. First day he said when he report to work, he said, turn that off. I do not want that notification. And I find that, oh, that's extremely useful. Using media pragmatically for specific purposes, consciously choosing the times we interact with social media. For example, Priscilla try not to interact at all in the mornings and collect my own thoughts and concentrate better. Yeah. And I remember days where I don't start with the day of meditation. My wife knows and she will say, I think you need to meditate, please. Your thoughts and words are a little bit harsh. Oh, okay, let me get to my corner. With discipline, compassion, and wisdom, social media can be beneficially useful. Yeah, we can turn it into a tools where we share Dharma. Absolutely. Be careful to be disciplined to filter out what is noise versus information. Thanks, Phyllis. Exactly. I'm learning from that point. I got to learn more about that. And be careful with what we share in public. Do not reveal others' defects and do not boast personal strengths. Spread kindness. Absolutely. Chris share another image. We probably don't have time to that, but let's download in the informal period and have a look. Thanks everyone. Keep it going. The more data that we collect in the chat box, our poster team can do can translate that into positive content and start to influence the social media with all this great content. So let's just quickly conclude before we dedicate our merits. So this theme, Dharma is everywhere. I really strongly believe that this quote is real. Our skeptical mind might constantly challenge it, but I think our Buddha nature, or the fountain of goodness, like what Venerable Jie Wei constantly refers to, will guide us in revealing the Dharma hidden around us. Interestingly, if we look at the Sutta Sutras, Shakyamuni Buddha constantly did this in his teachings too, using analogies to connect what we see and the Buddha Dharma, helping his disciples to see that ultimately our internal and external worlds are one and not two. Next week, we are taking a short break from this series and we'll continue this theme again on the 23rd and the 30th of May. For next week, we're going to talk a little bit more about a bit of a co-design process to find out what's next for this virtual space that we are all in right now, because I'm also taking a break to help with the Buddha's Day celebration. And for the 23rd May 2021 session, we will broaden our search for Buddha Dharma from the earth and our virtual worlds to the cosmos space. Over to Katya to guide us with the dedication of merits. But for today, I'll specially dedicate the little merits gained to the creators and all the users of the different media and social media platforms, with the hope that these spaces, both physical and virtual, will transform into beautiful places of the future. And that the transformation begins with us as we start wholesome ripples across the world through our thoughts, words, and actions, and not forgetting the fingers that we use to type in our comments in the virtual world. Over to Katya.
Thank you, Chair. We hope that the check-in session today was helpful to you and that you experienced the loving kindness of the community as it is offered here today. For anyone who might be experiencing a greater need than what today could meet, please do not hesitate to get in touch with us via email on the screen, or alternatively reaching the professional organizations in the respective countries. And we check in today, would like to ask you all to reflect for a moment and send thoughts to the loved ones, friends and strangers who may need some care and healing. May they feel the warmth, strength, and love of the community as we recite the dedication of merits together.
Let us now dedicate the goodness of what you have done to all living beings. May kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity pervade all worlds. May we cherish and build affinities to benefit all beings. May Chan, Pure Land, and precepts inspire equality and patience. May our gratitude and humility give rise to great vows.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And for those who have time, we will be having our usual post-check-in discussions now, so do stay around if you do have time. Otherwise, we will be back next week and look forward to seeing you all then.